everybody. How are you? Welcome back to Crafting and Crime Daily. This is the show where I, your host, Rebecca, recap trials that are going on YouTube. Yeah, usually by Court TV, Log Crime, some local stations. Got my coffee here. I'm finishing up the second cup. Yeah. So, busy week, very busy week. We are on verdict watch for the case of Cara Rintella, who is alleged to have murdered her wife back in 2010. Now, this is her fourth trial. Two trials ended up where the jury, during their deliberations, could not reach a decision. The third trial, she was found guilty, but the verdict was overturned by the appellate court for, some issues over the testimony regarding paint. Yes, because Cara Rintella's, when there was ceiling paint in the basement, and somebody opened that ceiling paint. We know Cara Rintella's palm print was on the lid of the ceiling paint, and it was poured everywhere over the body of Anna Marie Rintella. Yeah, it was all over the basement. So there's been an issue about like how fast it dries. Can that say anything about the time of death and blah blah blah. So the jury has been. What am I doing here? It's this yarn is really okay here. It gets off kilter sometimes. We just have to get it back on track. There we go. There we go. All right. There we go. Um, where was I? All right, so we're on verdict watch. The jury has been deliberating now for 6 hours and 30 minutes. They went out later in the afternoon yesterday after jury instructions, and then deliberated for a couple of hours, and then the rest has been this morning. They did have a question for the judge. The question was, could they look at a map that had been used during one of the witnesses, which was obviously introduced for demonstrative purposes. It's not in evidence, but it's when the investigator who had gone all out to McDonald's and all those different places kind of put a map and put all the stuff on a map. I showed you the map. Here it is. So that's not in evidence. So, but they wanted to see it again. And the judge said, no, it's not evidence. You're not allowed to see it again. So it was suggested, maybe they could just bring the jury in and let them look at it. And the judge said, no, I'm not inclined to do that. So, and that's where we left it. They're still deliberating. The answer was no, you don't get to look at the map, which means they're looking at Cara Rintella's version of the events of that day. Did she really travel all those places? I mean, we know she went to all those places, and we know she started going to those places. She arrived at the first place at 5 p.m. We don't know where she was between 3 and 5 p.m. Those 2 hours. She said she last saw her wife at 3 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock she's seen pulling into the Holyoke Mall. And she goes some other places, and the evidence bears all that out. Now, someone said to me, left a comment, which lets me know you were paying very close attention during the Murdaugh trial. During the Alex Murdaugh trial over in South Carolina, they introduced evidence from the maker of his truck, where they went and got if you have a GPS built into your vehicle, they can tell you where that vehicle's been. And when they got that information from the dealership, it wouldn't come from the dealership, it came from the manufacturer of the vehicle that Alex Murdaugh was driving. It would show, what this information showed was the car turning off and on, accelerating, miles per hour, things like that. But it allowed them to figure out, track him. But I don't know that technology was available in 2010. Yeah, she was driving a pickup truck, but I don't think the technology was available. I don't know how old that truck was either. So, good question. Good thoughts. Good comments, you guys. Yay. All right, let's go back to this hat here. So that leaves us with the Maya Kowalski case. I actually will go live when there's a verdict. I promise. I'm watching. It's on the computer screen over here. Literally, I sit here in the mornings and I've got my I'm doing research on my cell phone. Oh, this thing is not wanting to work right today. All right, we'll just leave it alone for now. I'm doing research on my cell phone. I've got my iPad sitting there, listening to a trial. And then I've got something, I'm monitoring the other trial on this other computer. Yeah, it's like, why is my light pads on? Okay, I'm not lit up anymore. Okay, so let's talk about the Kowalski case. Mike Kowalski is suing John Hopkins Hospital, Children's Hospital, for false imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and fraud for billing for a condition they say she didn't have. Yeah, which is chronic regional pain syndrome. They billed for it because it pays at a higher rate, but she didn't even have that. They did. They said, no, no, she doesn't have that. No, no, this is Munchausen by proxy. No, I don't think so. Okay, so and it's not just her suing; it's her father Jack and her brother Kyle. All three of them are suing Johns Hopkins for emotional distress they went through and caused by causing the death of her mother. Her mother committed suicide because she could not see her daughter. Going on 3 months, no signs that it was going to let up, that they were ever going to let her see her daughter, that they thought she had Munchausen's by proxy and that she was making her daughter ill. So a lot of what's happened in the trial so far is downtime. This poor jury. Yesterday, the jury didn't even report yesterday. They didn't have the jury. They were talking about other issues for several hours, motions in limine and stuff that I thought they probably should do before the trial started. I don't know. So, and the judge had said last week that they were only going to hear testimony 3 days this week. So they're in the courtroom, back in the courtroom today. So I'll listen and catch you up. I'm still catching up on Monday's testimony. As you guys are well aware, I do a show on Wednesday nights, and it makes it difficult to get any of my listening to trials done. So I do want to talk about the pediatrician that took the stand on Monday. This was the family, for lack of a better word. He was the family doctor. He's a pediatrician. He treated Kyle, he treated Maya, and sometimes he treated mom too for the stress that she was under. So he knew this family very well, and prior to her going to Mexico, he was just treating her for allergies. She didn't have any of this pain syndrome. Um, he agreed that yes, he is a mandated reporter, which means if he sees any inkling evidence of child abuse, he's got to report that to this government. And he didn't see it. He said Beata was very attentive, very loving towards Maya and the family. He found her to be very articulate, very knowledgeable. She was an infusion nurse. She was very good at expressing what was wrong with Maya. So he had no problems with what was going on with this family. He said there were no warning signs to indicate she might be an abusive mother. None. None. So he saw her in July. They started, what they do is they go through each visit. The process. The, I got to remember this is civil court. So the plaintiff is taking this treating doctor through each visit. So the first visit that he starts with is the one right after she is admitted to John Hopkins back in July for an asthma exacerbation. He sees her then, and so this was sort of like a follow up. Anytime you go to the hospital and you're hospitalized and you get out, you're supposed to follow up with your regular doctor. And this is what she was doing. She had been in the hospital for 4 days at that point. And after discharge, she makes an appointment with her doctor, and in September 2nd, she comes in to see her pediatrician. And the diagnosis from that particular hospitalization was steroid use myopathy with severe pain. Okay. He saw her again in November of 2015 for a follow up of her gastrointestinal pain, where she had gone to the emergency room a few times to All Children's. And their discharge diagnosis was constipation. That was in October of 2015. So this is a year before that 3-month hospitalization and the suicide of her mom. So he was aware that she was going to see this pain expert. He was aware that she had been diagnosed with this chronic pain syndrome and that he was treating it. Now he admits wholeheartedly he never talked to Dr. Kirkpatrick, but he said I didn't need to. They weren't they weren't he wasn't treating mom for Munchausen's by proxy. He wasn't diagnosing. He felt like the treatment was warranted and it was safe and effective, and he had heard of the ketamine and he didn't have any problem with it. Yeah. And I'll say that to say this: the reason they were calling this doctor is so he could give an opinion on the hospital's standard of care for not having a conversation with him. He said what they should have done that October was they should have picked up the phone, called him, and asked him about his treatment of Maya Kowalski. Are you on board with this? Are CRPS diagnosis? Are you aware that we suspect Munchausen's by proxy? Did you ever see anything? There was never a conversation with the treating physician. Yeah. So he said he was aware of their trip to Mexico. Mom had informed him that she was going to take Maya to Mexico for this 5-day, what he understood it to be was a 5-day medical coma where they would be giving her ketamine. He did not know anything about the dosages that she was going to be getting for this ketamine. And he felt like at this point the family had tried all of the measures that they could to treat the CRPS, short of having this coma. So then he was asked about whether or not she had gained weight after that last 3-month hospitalization. Was she in any better shape than before she went in? And he's like, no, she was not. She did not gain any weight, because hospitals say, oh, she did great. She gained weight. We got her off all of her medications. They are saying that when she came into the hospital, she was on 21 different medications. And when she left, she was only on 3. Well, you're going to see that turns out to be not really true. So he said Maya did not gain weight while hospitalized. In fact, I think she lost like 2 pounds. So he said that this was the worst physical shape uh, that he had seen her in. It was worse than when she had gone in. Yeah. And that her CRPS had gotten much worse. Um, so he does admit that he talked to a resident from the hospital who asked him some very quick questions, and that was the end of it. None of her care team for that 3 months called him to consult with him. Then he was asked whether the ketamine could be causing any liver damage. Did he see any of the test results that indicated she had liver damage as a result of ketamine? He's like, no, none. He also asked about cognitive function. Was there any evidence that he saw that she was suffering from some cognitive dysfunction as a result of the ketamine administration? She said, no. Then he was asked about a letter that was contained in his file, and I want to tell you what this letter says. It was a letter from Maya. Let's go to it. I have it here. Oh boy. Okay. By the way, I finished the logo diamond painting, except for one symbol that I'm missing some drills on, and I'm waiting for those to come in the mail. So it's done. I'm pretty proud of it. I got to find a frame for it, and then it's going to go up behind me. I have to replace my kitty. Yeah, sorry. All right, what is going on here? Okay. What is going on? Okay, now I got it. Whenever I pick up my phone, it's like I'm going down a rabbit hole. All right, here we go. Here's the letter. All right, I, can I read it sideways? Okay, here it says, "Hello, it's Maya." First, she says, "Dear mommy and daddy and Kyle. Hello, it's Maya," with a smiley face. "Not doing the best, but I'm hanging in there. I miss you guys so much. You don't even know. I cried a ton whenever they mention your names and still do." And then she has a heart thing. "I just wish I could see you guys again. I pray every day that I will. God knows that you guys didn't do a thing. I just wish that everyone else knew the same, but sadly, I guess not." And then a sad face. "I don't know what to do. Dot, 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 dot. I guess the only thing I could do is pray and wish. I really want you to come visit me." And then she drew a heart with little figures in it that represented her family. She put in parentheses, "our family." How sweet is that? Um, "Oh, I love you so much and miss you guys so much. It breaks my heart not being with you all." And then another heart that's broken. Here's some kisses for you all. Love your sister." And then she put in parentheses, that's for Kyle. And then she said, "Love your daughter." And then in parentheses, for mommy and daddy. And kisses right here with an arrow. So I think she had done some coloring or something that's not on the page. You can't see it. But that poor child. I think she was 11 years old at this time. 11 years old. Pretty mature for an 11-year-old, right? Pretty perceptive on her part. So the doctor just said he made it part of the file. I don't know how it ended up in his file, but in any case. So his opinion was yes, that the hospital had breached the standard of care. And by standard of care, the way you breach it is standard of care is whatever is acceptable in the community of doctors, like um, giving Tylenol for a fever. That's acceptable. That's standard of care. But when you're doing something that's not acceptable within the community of physicians where you practice, then it's below the standard of care. So um, he, on cross-examination, like I said, he admitted that he had never talked to Dr. Kirkland, who was treating her CRPS, and that he had never talked to any of the physical therapists that were treating her. And he says, "I didn't need to talk to them. They weren't accusing the mom of suffering from Munchausen by proxy, but the hospital was, and they never called me." And he goes, "Well, couldn't you have called them? You have a phone, right? Dial tone, keyboard. You can dial. You could call. You've called them. Why are they putting the onus on him?" Then he was asked to read a list of the medications that she was discharged on. And what were they for? Now, remember, the hospital is claiming, oh, she came in with 21 and she was discharged on 3. Well, she was discharged on quite a few more than just 3. She was discharged on Aquaphor topical, which was used for those lesions that she had on her body. And these lesions were a symptom of chronic regional pain syndrome. Then lansoprazole, he said, is an acid blocker. She was on Tylenol, albuterol, which is a bronchodilator, that's for her asthma, baclofen, which is a muscle relaxer, that would be for her pain, citrazine, which is an antihistamine, vitamin D, iron, a nasal steroid, a topical antibiotic, Lyrica, which is gabapentin. Um, he says that it is for nerve pain, Miralax, and multivitamins. 13 different medications, not 3, 13. They didn't do anything for her while she was in that hospital. Nothing, nothing. So that was his testimony. Now, I will watch all the rest. I'm going to get you guys caught up, I swear. There's no rush, though. No rush. Anyway, I want to show you what I got in the mail. So I was thinking yesterday, when I took that Uber, I need to start keeping track of my pain. And oh my God, last night my knee was throbbing, and I don't know why. So I ordered this. You know how I love my notebook. So I found this one on Amazon. It's spiral, so I can lay it flat. So I want to get another one to use for my notes for the trials because it's so cool. But I like it because it's lined. And then in the back, it has this little pocket where I can put my receipts, like the Uber receipts and the Walgreens receipts and stuff like that. I know, I'm taking this way too serious, aren't I? No. Okay, but here, I got this in the mail. I have this book that I use to sketch flowers out of and then paint them. And they came out with another one of the same book. So this time, instead of getting a regular book, I got it in spiral so I could lay it flat. Because that's always the problem with the other book. I have to bend it backwards to see the flowers, but it has a lot more varieties of flowers in it than the previous one. And it tells you, how to paint each one. I mean, look at this. Beautiful illustrations. It walks you through the different steps for each flower. Look. Here, we'll do a little look through because we got plenty of time today, don't we? So it goes through the basics of watercolor, but then it has like all these beautiful flowers that I can use as inspiration for my artwork. I do try to recreate them. I do try the different brush strokes and everything. And then at the end, it has some stuff. It has a chapter on composition. Oh my God, if mine looked like that, ooh, that would be so pretty. Speaking of which, I have some new artwork on been added to the Crafts with Crashley website for the release papers. As you know, I'm one of their signed artists, so all the artwork that I have given them is licensed. Yeah, so they added some Halloween stuff that I just did. Check it out. Here's some different, a couple of floral ones. One that's called a haunted forest. I forget what the other ones are called. Anyway, they're all here. You can travel to Crafts with Crashley's website. The description is down. The link is down in the description. And if you happen to purchase one of these release papers, you can use the code Journey10 to get a discount, and I get a little commission. I get a commission anyway for the artwork, but yeah, love it, love it. It's turning out so cool. So I like I said before, I think I talked about I want to work on a gnome. I'll show you the gnome. Let's see. I did show it last night during the Craft with Me Wednesday, but let's see. I'll show you the gnome. I want to sketch it and do it in my own colors. This one here. How adorable. Yeah, I'm going to do it in my own colors. And I want to do some of these, and I want to do some Christmas stuff. Yes. So you guys can have some Christmas release papers for your diamond paintings. Anyway, okay, that's the show for today, guys. I hope you had a good time. Have a great Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow in craft crafting and crime daily. Like, what's the name of my show? Yes. All right, guys. I'm going to go back to frogging this hat. See you later. Bye.